company and what they're doing, which will be great. Let me go ahead and reshare my screen. And we are recording, so that's perfect. All right. So welcome everybody. This is our quarterly advisory meeting. We may have folks joining in as we talk. That's fine. And we just kind of want to go over where we are and how people can potentially help us based on what they hear and what we do, right? So that's kind of the purpose of this. So I'm calling it to order. I'm the interim director of the Virginia Serious Games Institute, James Casey. I'm going to do a quick around the room for folks on the call as well, just so that people know who everybody is. And that way, even if you're watching this later, you'll recognize folks that, from here that you may or may not have interacted with on our end. So let's do that next. So again, I mentioned myself. Let's see, I'm going to go down the list. So let's see, Ilya, you want to go ahead and just tell people who you are so that folks either joining the call or watching this later know who you are.
Hi, yes, my name is Ilya Stanek. I am the new lab technician, basically Michael's replacement. So kind of go back and back between Manassas and Fairfax campus, just helping with setting up computers, website related things. So just anything basically on technical side. So that's basically what I'm here for.
Okay. I saw Andrea Cobb, you're on. Do you want to say hi real quick?
Yeah. Hey, I'm Andrea Cobb. I work for the College of Science, and Jim and his team are often mentors for our aspiring scientist summer internship program. And our interns love what they do and always give them great kudos. So thank you for participation. And it's always so fascinating to see what you guys are up to.
Excellent. We're just doing introductions. I saw Bob Bates joined us, so I'll go ahead and you want to go ahead and say something, or are you prepared, Bob, just to say who you are? We're just doing the introduction round for people who don't know everybody. If not, I can move on. Yeah, oh, there we go, Bob, yes.
No problem, sorry. Zoom had to update.
Yeah.
I'm Bob Bates. I'm a working game designer and have been for the last 35 years. Ex-president or ex-chairman of the International Game Designers Association, the IGDA, and just long time in the industry.
Excellent. Let's see, Carly, you want to introduce yourself real quick? I know you've got a whole little quick presentation for later, but go ahead and tell people who you are.
Sure. Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Carly Berryman, and about 3 years ago, I started a company called Viva Vita, and we offer virtual reality to retirement communities of all shapes and sizes. So yes, looking forward to sharing a little bit more with you about that.
Excellent. Eric Piccioni.
Hello there. Hi, I'm Eric Piccioni, and my video is getting weird. I'm the Associate Director of the Game Design Program, and I also teach courses on animation, game art, and the business of game design, and the capstones as well.
Excellent. I know, Harry, you kind of said hi earlier, and you were driving, so we'll unless you want to go ahead and say.
Yeah, I'll just leave I think my Captain America shield may be showing, but apologies. I am still driving, James. Thanks. But Harry Wingo, I've been 6 years over at the National Defense University in Washington, D.C. And I got engaged with the Institute when I worked at Google a while back, but I'm a huge enthusiast on experiential learning and how serious games can really make a difference. And currently, I'm really interested in using games as a way to get students and entrepreneurs comfortable with use cases for smart city technology, and particularly robotics. So, thank you.
Excellent. Let's see, that brings us to Jackie. You there, Jackie?
Sorry about that. Hi, everyone.
okay.
Great to meet you. Jackie Crick, CEO of ECU Communications. We're a digital communications agency located downtown Manassas. Great to be here.
Excellent. Jacob.
Hello, I'm a research faculty member at VSGI, and I also teach a couple classes in the game programming side of things over on Fairfax campus.
Excellent. Josh.
Hey, my name is Josh Emsweller. I am the acting director currently for the Mason Game and Technology Academy, basically involved in teaching students essentially from around the world, both virtually and online, game design and STEM subjects. And yeah, that's essentially what I do.
Awesome. Riza.
Hello, everyone. Riza Villacorte, Administrative Assistant for the VSGI. Thank you for joining.
Sang.
Hi, Sang Nam. I'm the Director of Computer Game Design Program.
Oh, he's going to have a lot to say in a moment. So, Seth Hudson.
Hey there, everybody. Off camera, still beating COVID. Hi, I'm Seth Hudson, a associate professor of game writing in the computer game design program. Nice to see everyone.
And Stephanie.
Hey, I'm Stephanie Kane. I am the research coordinator for the VSGI, and I also teach game history.
And some cool lights behind you. All right, and then Susan.
Hello, everyone. I'm Susan Graziano, Director of Development for the College of Visual and Performing Arts.
Excellent. Good. We got a great bunch of people here, a lot of support, as you can hear, from both external and internal. And so we're going to talk a little bit about what we've been up to all around the college and all the great stuff, so that, again, it might spring collaborations, ways that we can help each other, help our partners, etc. So I'm going to start off with Sang, who's going to give us some game design updates. So do you just tell me when you're ready and I'll try to guess, but just
all right.
It's your show for a little bit there, Sang.
All right, thank you. Hi, again, my name is Sang Nam. I'm the Director of Computer Game Design Program, and enrollment for fall 2022, we have now 409 BFA major students and 31 minor students. And currently we have 2 master's degree students, and we actually officially closed admission to our master's program, and we are still in a process of developing a PhD in serious game. Next slide. And Arch by George. Arch by George is one of the biggest event by CVPA, College of Visual and Performing Arts. This is a donor sponsored event, and it finally came back as a return in person. So we participated, and Professor Pisciani came to help. And we have like 4 Mason Korea students volunteers to help the event. Let's go to the next slide.
Actually, Susan, is there anything you wanted to add since you were in charge of that? Like any good news
Sure.
you want to add from that?
Sure. So for the first time, I thought we did a better job of, we're still working on this, but a better job of profiling the non-performing arts in the event. It was held in Horizon Hall. It was actually spread over 3 buildings, but it was in Horizon Hall where we had the buffet, and that's where art, game, and film were featured. And film and game collaborated really nicely in the green screen room. We raised over $250,000, which primarily benefits students' scholarships. And I'm happy to say that, you know, we're still coming out of, in this post-pandemic, or is it really post-pandemic? We're coming out of this period when we couldn't do things in person, and our numbers are looking very good. It looks like we might be matching the 2019 level, which I'm very pleased by. One of the things I think would be great for this group to talk about is how to build audience for Arts by George of people that are interested in the non-performing arts. So to have your own folks excited to be profiled at this event to try to get game people coming to Arts by George. We'd really like you to maybe brainstorm about that. But thank you.
That sounds great. Awesome. Thank you so
Great,
much.
thank you. So this is some images or pictures from the event. And we presented student VR games, student AR games and apps, and senior capstone games, and digital backdrop with green screen. So this is a collaboration with film and video studies. And as you can see, let's go back to the.
Yeah, sorry, I don't
back-
know why it
yeah.
went. I didn't even press down. There we go.
All right, so as you can see, like people enjoyed our virtual reality games. And again, that the digital backdrop, we explained the process, and people stand in front of a green screen, and we kind of like take pictures for them to see them in this like virtual world. So it was pretty pretty good that people came in, enjoyed what we presented. So again, like it was a great showcase of our student work, and people came in, got like many pictures of themselves trying virtual reality games, or the posing in front of green screen. Okay, next slide. And this weekend, this coming Saturday, we are going to participate in STEAM Fest. So STEAM Fest is the George Mason University host this STEAM Fest in Alexandria to introduce these STEAM disciplines to K-12 students. And I believe we are only participants in CBPA, and we are going to present student VR games and AR apps and motion captured experience, so that those K-12 students coming in understand what they can do in STEAM disciplines. Okay, next. And next month, on November 9th, Wednesday, November 9th, from 10 to 2 p.m., we are going to host International Symposium on Digital Therapeutics. So this event is possible because our sponsor, NCSoft. Originally, NCSoft is one of the biggest game companies in Korea. So recently, when President Washington visited Mason, Korea last August, he visited NCSoft, and then he signed MOU. And NCSoft and computer game design program at Mason, Korea, we collaborated on many activities, such as press and play, social game contest, and other things. So this time, NCSoft is sponsoring us to host this international symposium, and we are going to invite speakers from FDA, NIH, and some physicians at INOVA, and we are going to talk about digital therapeutics, which utilize apps or games to to innovate healthcare field. Okay, next slide, please. And okay, faculty highlight. I completed my second trip to Tunisia. So I helped the team created a virtual reality game prototype to promote one of Tunisian historical and cultural sites. And then there was one article like about me on the George. So there's a little story of what I did for my Fulbright specialist assignment, and other current research activities that I'm doing right now. And next slide, please. And November 18th and 19th, Professor James Casey and myself will fly to Korea, and then we'll speak at International Conference on Global Trends in Gaming. So along with us, actually, Shannon Davis, who is an associate dean at Mason Korea, she will speak at this conference as well. So we're going to talk about myself, I'll talk about digital therapeutics and games, and Shannon Davis, game and culture and society, and James will probably talk about something about game, how awesome games are. Okay, and let's go to the next slide. And then while I was in Tunisia, I made a connection to various groups. So Professor Casey and Piccioni kind of helped me do some online webinars while I was in Tunisia. So we will join the Africa Metaverse project as subject matter experts and mentors. So this project is sponsored by Epic Mega Grant, and this consortium basically gathered participants, and they train how to create 3D models and how to the coding for the Unreal and Unity engines, and we will basically kind of mentor them to create these examples or the interesting project in metaverse space. Okay, next. And I want you to know again, we are trying to globalize our program, and we've been working with this international study abroad program. So study at Mason Korea and Ebertay, Howard, and University of Westminster. In fact, study at Mason Korea, if you are George Mason University student, you can simply apply to go to Korea and spend the semester there. So this is a very simple process. You basically show meet with your advisor and then make sure your classes will be fine. Then you will be able to actually go. And with the University of Westminster, we are currently talking about their students visiting us during the summer next year to to have some sort of international program. And short-term study abroad program, Tokyo, Japan. We've been planning this for a long time, but next year it seems like we are really going. Okay, so we are preparing this short-term study abroad program. So we take our students to Tokyo, and we will visit many game studios in Tokyo, and they will kind of work on kind of simple project to earn the credit. And Shenzhen, China, where the Tencent headquarters are located. And before the pandemic, we were kind of planning on this, but we obviously stopped. But since pandemic is over, we will kind of try to see whether we can launch another short-term study abroad program. Okay, that is it. Thank you.
Awesome. A lot of great stuff coming out of the game design program. A lot of good expansion there as well. So now we're going to talk a little bit about the stuff going on at the Virginia Serious Games Institute as a whole. So we've been doing our speaker series online for several years, semesters, whatever you want to, however you want to gauge it now. And there, all the previous events are archived on our website. This fall, we've already had some good topics. We had somebody talk about legal and tax consequences of real money in virtual online worlds, which is a crazy topic. We've got people going on about haptics. We've got using game design in journalism from somebody who worked with the USA Today's AR department for a long time, and diversity and representation in gaming. So a lot of great stuff coming up. And again, if you have people that that are, gaming related, tangential even. We're always looking for interesting technology that is highlightable and that we can get people interested in. So check out the stuff that's on there. Feel free to send us ideas if you have them. On a similar topic, I've been helping out the Mason Enterprise Center and Arlington space in particular, because they're really pushing for use of Mason Square, which is what they call the whole area there now, including the new building that'll be going in. And so I've helped set up a speaker series there. This one is different. It's in person. And it's out at the Arlington campus. I already gave a talk about evolution of content creation via game technology and what that means to various different industries and how these game creation tools are really reimagining things all across the board. And then we have some folks from even the VSGI, like Tim Cotton doing Web3 3.0 and the metaverse and what all the differences are, or how they're the same. We have one of our buddies from computer science doing a talk on AI and machine learning. Some folks that we recommended for blockchain. The prototyping will actually be done in Fairfax. They've got the new mix space that Sang alluded to briefly when they did their Arts by George. They were right off there at the mix and part of their space, but they have a ton of new age prototyping machines there. And then back to Arlington for the last two for prototyping in this new era of digital technology, as well as diversity, equity, and inclusion in new technologies. So a lot of cool stuff coming up. There's links in here and we can send around the PowerPoint if we need to, or post them places, but they're Eventbrite links, so they're not easy to just put on here for easy finding. So we'll try to forward information out or post in news for you. We talked about Viva Vita earlier, and Viva Vita is actually going to do a little presentation for us in just a moment. It's I don't want to give away everything there. We talked a little bit about what it does, but I'd rather Carly talk about that. So the only other thing I'd say about new resident companies is that we may have mentioned this was happening in the last advisory board meeting, but Loric Games took up space in the Arlington campus and inside there. I wouldn't say an incubator, it's more like a WeWork space that's available out there. And they've been taking on employees and interns for their new game, and we're working with them to support them in that endeavor. So, and it's fueled by industry veterans of the game industry. So, and then real briefly about some of the other companies that are still ongoing here is, so we have Scripted, Tim Cotton's company. They're working on getting additional funding, setting up some proof of concepts for their work in both blockchain and the metaverse. Been doing some talking at conferences. They're also going to help out with the new technology series. Improve on Health has been working with our interns to include game integration into their existing app for their hardware, so that they will have basically, they're starting with a virtual pet game that will teach the folks that need to take the medication how to take care of the virtual pet and set up habits and set up these kind of relationships of why doing something like taking medicine makes things better. So starting with a game, but hopefully traversing over into habits for these folks. The Historical Movement Archive and Studio has been working diligently on taking their Bear Garden virtual set and creating a meeting space so that they can do both motion capture as well as performances to a virtual audience, whether they're on VR or their computer. And what they're trying to do is set up a demonstration of this technology within the next month or two, so they can actually, instead of doing pitch meetings with PowerPoint, they can invite people in to see what they're doing within this actual space, showing the actual technology in action. Fly Guy Interactive is still working on the social emotional development game with the communities and schools, and they're working on getting additional contracts for their company. Likewise, NAMIR has been working on a number of different projects, including a new one that hopefully comes up soon in October. That will be an interesting experiment using biking and road conditions and testing out some stuff for how autonomous vehicles work with bikers and pedestrians and how people react. So we'll come back. We'll get Carly in a second. I'm gonna finish up the rest of the VSGI updates, and then we'll let you do your little thing. So hopefully you'll be ready for that. Research, Stephanie, you want to cover some of the stuff we've got going on there?
Yeah, sure. So we are starting to work on a forensics and virtual crime scene project in collaboration with the forensics department at GMU. And it's to make a VR version of a crime scene house for training. The Historical Movement Archive, we've submitted a grant for, with the National Endowment for the Humanities. We're still waiting to hear back on that, but we submitted that a few months ago. The Ignite student competition that we were doing with Prince William Economic Development has started already. And so we are starting to hold little mentor sessions for these upcoming businesses in this competition, sort of competition. I don't know how to quite describe it, but it's sort of like a competition. And then, of course, Carly might mention this later, but Viva Vita also submitted an application for the Commonwealth Commercialization Fund, and I worked with her a little bit on that, and it looks really great, and I hope that she gets it. And then also Purdue University, GMU Game, and Lifespan Digital Help have, I believe Sang just told me that they did get the NSF grant that they applied for. I put submitted here, but they actually got it. And so that's going to be a collaboration between the College of Science, Business, and Game here at Mason with Purdue University and the business of Lifespan Digital Health. And they're going to use algorithms and some kind of wearable tech to kind of work biofeedback into getting mental health treatments. And I feel like that sounds really cool. But if anybody has any cool ideas or research things that they want to start to pursue, you can always contact me at skane5 or James or anybody here, and we would love to see if we can work with you.
Awesome. All right, let's see some final other updates before we get to hear more about Viva Vita. So one of the things I didn't include on the research one, but it's something we've been doing with CVPA, has been working on an augmented reality app for their artists in residence, and we're getting to a very good place. We've been able to play around with getting it working on the phones, and now we're just modifying it to work on both Apple and Android, so that hopefully by the end of this year, we'll have that out so that they can tout it as a performance piece and then play it along with some of the other stuff that they have upcoming. We've also been working with getting some interns for a company that's nearby in Richmond called Concesio VR that are doing a virtual reality environment to help people struggling with addiction. And so some of our students are going to help them with creating, we call them games, but, different kinds of activities within this virtual environment that'll allow them to concentrate on various different objectives that will help them within their rehabilitation. If you're not aware, I know we talked about this at the previous meeting a little bit, but it's been the 50th anniversary for a little bit here at GMU, and it's been going well. We've had some different events around the campus, some dedications of our new building, some movie nights, some little things here at even the Hilton, and so it's been really good, and we're looking for more. And then I think we have other things coming up, like I think it's SciTech's 25th soon, and so on. We mentioned the ASIP program earlier. Both VSGI and game design did that over the summer and took on interns, had some very interesting projects out of that. The folks that worked on the VSGI, the interns here, we did technologies and ideas for future research, and how do you take processes like AI, artificial intelligence, that can be potentially very server intensive and offload them both on server or client side, and how that would work to make things that like we're going to need for the metaverse work better. And then computer game design did actually a game based around the idea of peace gaming. So creating a scenario that would drive home how decisions made in the context of running your country both at peacetime and then at war can affect both your allies and your enemies when you're making decisions. So then they had a little prototype that they got to show off as part of that, which was great. We also had Ann Wheeler from Prince William County Board of Supervisors come by for National Gaming Day, and we talked to them a little while and got to highlight what we're doing so that we can show it off to more folks around the Commonwealth. And then obviously, you know, always check out our social sites. I think that's it for VSGI, except we'll come back to Mason Game and Technology Academy after. But now I'm going to shift gears. Do you have some PowerPoints, Carly?
So I have just some things to talk through, and then if you're still curious, still listening, we can look at some slides.
Okay, that's fine. Do you want me to leave this up, or do you just want me to make it so your face is more visible?
Either one is fine, but just so you know, I think for me to share anything, you'll need to disable.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna. That's why I asked you if you had anything, because I would need Elia, I think, to make you a co-host. And if you do have stuff, that's fine. I'll Elia, are you there?
Yeah, should I make co-host?
Yeah, make Carly co-host just in case. So for anything they want for Carly to share. Perfect. All right. All yours, Carly. Tell us about Viva Vita and all the cool stuff that you're doing.
Okay, great. Well, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here at the meeting. I believe this is our third or fourth month after taking up residency here. So I've really been enjoying the space and getting some good work done, meeting a lot of folks. I'm excited to work with some students more, probably more so next semester. But yeah, so let me tell you a little bit about Viva Vita. For some background, we began Viva Vita in 2019, so just over 3 years ago, actually. I actually went to GW as a student at GW, so sorry about that. I was born and raised in Oklahoma City, and I applied to GW sort of on a whim. I'd never been to DC or the school before, hadn't heard of it before, so hadn't heard of GMU either. Anyway, yeah, so I studied entrepreneurship, marketing, and psychology at GW, and this culmination of experiences really led up to me beginning Viva Vita. I've always been a lifelong entrepreneur and looking for ways to make money, had a few different businesses over my young life, including painting houses in the hot Oklahoma sun, but always trying to sell stuff to my neighbors, things like that. So knew that's what I wanted to do and was just in search of a business and a mission that really interested me. And so that's kind of where my psychology schooling came in. I learned more about late life depression and some of the struggles, some of the challenges that our older adults are up against. First off, this kind of just didn't sit well with me because I've always had great respect for, and I think a strong connection with our elders. I think that they have a lot of really great stories, which I've always enjoyed, and they've lived some really cool lives seen some really different parts of different times in our society and country. And so anyway, that didn't sit well with me, but what really drove it home was that I realized my own grandmother was experiencing some of this. And one day I was sitting around with my family having lunch or something on some school break, and my grandmother just said it so nonchalantly and didn't really mean anything by it, but she said, you know, some mornings I wake up and I kind of just lay there, I stare up at the ceiling, and I just kind of wonder if I should get up because I don't have anything going on. I don't have any reason to get up. And she just laughed and kept going. But, you know, it really struck me of wow, if Granny doesn't feel like she has anything to get up for, you know, does she have something to wake up for? It really concerned me. So virtual reality was of course coming online and getting more and more popular. This was back in 2018, 2017. And so kind of just was an aha moment to put the two together. So I'll fast forward a little bit. We went through some accelerator programs, and in 2019, I both graduated and launched the company. I had about $3,000 in a little bit of grant funding, competition money, and my savings. So I bought 10 Oculus Go's. I started taking them around to different communities. Well, I should say I'm well trained on customer discovery and lean startup, all that I-Core stuff. So did a lot of calling, talking to people. Then started taking these Oculus Go's into places, asking folks if they would try them and what they thought, and was able to realize, confirm a few hypotheses. One, that this was going to work, that this technology was appealing and interesting to this group. We also decided which headset to use, what kind of content to show, and really just figured out the pain points of both our customer and our user and in the senior community. So in that same year, we launched as a services business, and myself and eventually a couple of people that I hired, we would take these 10 Oculus Go's out to communities and offer people an hour-long session, which is going pretty well. We're growing the business slowly but surely, just kind of making money, putting it back in the bank, and self-funding ourselves. Then COVID hit. So we had to really rethink the business model, and really ended up being for the best, because it got us to where we are today, pushed us to be more of a SaaS company and focus on the software that we offered, which was really key to seniors and seniors caregivers using something as complicated as VR. And we packaged this up in a really easy to use VR kit, which we began selling in late 2020. So since then, we have grown from just the DMV area to serve over 200 communities across 40 states. And what we are really interested in doing now, we have this kit in the market with great traction and great feedback, but we definitely have some opportunities that we haven't been able to address yet. Or more specifically, we're looking for, or we're hearing a lot from additional adjacent markets like oncology, dialysis, and rehabilitation. And so we're looking to expand on our first offering, introduce a second generation of the kit that's a little bit more accessible to these adjacent markets, and has some interactive features which they're asking for. So yes, still for the most part self-funded, still largely sustaining ourselves on our sales. We do look for some grant funding every once in a while. And yes, we found a great new home here at VSGI. So thanks again for having us.
Awesome. Does anybody have any questions for Carly while we're talking about Viva Vita?
I have a quick question, Carly.
Yeah.
This is Andrea. Have you tapped into the Osher Lifetime Learning Institute? Do you know who they are?
No, I'm not familiar.
Okay. We got to connect. You might want to connect with them. They are mostly retired people who, last time I looked, they pay a flat fee to do various, take some classes at Mason, and they have been a pretty active group in the past. They come to some of our Galileo Science Cafe events, and I think that would be very interesting. We have one of the guys is 93, and he listens to some of the Galileo Science Cafe events that we do remotely, that kind of thing. But I think, thank you, Susan, for putting that in. But they're super nice, very intellectually curious and so forth. So I think you would enjoy interacting with them, possibly, if you have the bandwidth for that.
Yeah, great. Thank you for the recommendation.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Any other questions or thoughts or suggestions? Excellent. Well, thank you for coming by, Carly. We put the website stuff in there, so if you want to check it out or recommend it to, everybody's got parents that are getting older, right? So maybe they want to recommend their, the home that they put their parents in, and things like that. So Harry, I saw you pop up. Did you want to add something?
Yeah, I just wanted to say to Carly, this is awesome. Keep going. And as James just said, my father-in-law just had an amputation related to diabetes. He's recovering. He lost his wife maybe a couple of years back, and so he's right in the DC area. And I just think this is great. You've extended beyond DMV, which is awesome. So one idea, and my dad, he's healthy, and it's a blessing. He's 93 years old, but he still stays active. But I'm thinking of these issues for caring for him and for my mom, who's a bit younger. But I just think it's amazing. One thing I was curious, Veterans Affairs, like if you've got older veterans, have you gotten any work with them? And if it wasn't too hard to go after, have you considered getting some funding that goes along those lines, to extend? And of course, it's amazing you're focusing on the elderly, but of course, in the adjacent space, there's so many people who need help with VR. But I love that you've been focused. So just a question about the VA. Thanks.
Yes, definitely. Yes, so the VA is doing a lot in VR, actually. They have kind of set up I can't remember the exact name of it, but an innovation XR sort of board, and they have someone running it, but a lot of it is very organic, and many different sites have found a VR partner and petitioned the VA and this one organization within it to fund the project and to share their learnings. And so, yes, we know that team, and we're actually getting set up to do this sort of pilot as well. Also, I'll give a quick shout out to Casio. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly, but the other company you mentioned earlier that's working on a program, gamification for addiction and substance abuse, they are working closely with the VA and doing some great stuff there. So just want to shout out them too. But yes, great point.
Yeah, thank you. And if it's ever helpful, you may already know him, but Jim Jaffer was the CIO for Veterans Affairs last cycle. And he's my classmate from the Naval Academy. We've been friends for decades. Great guy. He's out on his own now, but he lives in Virginia. So if that was ever a helpful contact, I'm sure he would find what you're doing awesome. So if that's ever helpful, but it's Jim Jaffer. And but I'd be happy to follow up if that was ever. But thanks for what you're doing. Keep going. It's awesome. Thanks, Carly.
Thank you, Harry.
Excellent. That's great. All right, cool. Anybody else before I shift back to the slides? All right, then we will shift over and talk a little bit about the Mason Game and Technology Academy. Before we go over this, and I'll let Josh go over some of the numbers and some of the cool stuff we did. I'm hoping that most people would have heard the news by now, and I know we send out the newsletter and things like that. But if you had not heard, obviously Vera did resign from the Mason Game and Technology Academy, but also we had some unfortunate and bad news that she did pass up over the summer at 57. And so we send the family best wishes, and she's very missed. So but Joshua has taken over and is working on Mason Game and Technology, and we had a great summer. So Joshua, you want to give a little bit about how the summer went and what we're doing now?
Yeah. So yeah, like James said, we had a really good summer. Everything kind of went off without a hitch for the most part, which is a vast improvement on all the policies and the COVID stuff we had to deal with last year. It was a little bit easier to get students in and out. So we ran 6 weeks of classes with our partner Envision. 3 of those weeks were online classes, and the other 3 were on site. We taught different subjects such as Python, game art, 3D modeling, and some Unity game design classes, as well as Unreal. And the numbers are there for some of our asynchronous classes, which happen throughout the year. You can see those at the bottom. The asynchronous classes are essentially just classes without a teacher. We have curriculums that we build out and we send to students, and that's the numbers that we have down there. So yeah, I'll go over this slide in just a second. Right now, we're doing our fall classes for the Prince William County School District. They basically get grant money every so often, and they send a bunch of students our way. So we have around, it's close to like 80 to 90 students for the fall, which is way higher than what we typically have for the fall. So that's great news. And this week specifically, we're actually going to be starting up again on these asynchronous courses. There's 3 right there that we're planning on working on. We're going to be making an intro to modeling in Blender, cybersecurity with Python, and then eventually we'll be doing an intro to animation with Blender. These courses are very popular and they're very beneficial for us as well. So we're probably going to continue thinking of new courses to do down the road. And that's kind of the basic of what's going on right now. So I don't really have anything else to add unless you do, James.
No, that's great. I mean, it's been very successful. The nice thing about some of these things, especially the asynchronous classes, is a lot of the work being put into these so that they can stand on their own means that they can also be taught with a teacher very easily, because they can use that same content that's already set up for them. And so we can use that in the online synchronous ones. We can even use it as the basis of some of our residential. We can even offer it and license it to other folks if they wanted to use it within their programs, and their teachers could learn by basically just doing the program themselves, because it's really designed to be straightforward, which is great. So thank you, Josh. So that's really it. At this point, I'm gonna turn it off, because you don't need to have a slide on adjournment, but it's there. Really, at this point, it's open. If anybody has stuff that they want to highlight, or things that they want to talk about, upcoming releases, things like that, events coming up, whatever it is, we've got a few minutes to get that on and get it as part of what we're doing here. But we want to thank those who came, or those who watch this later, that we have a lot of great stuff going on. We have a lot of good people within our program and at GMU that are really pushing these initiatives forward, and some of the great guests and folks on our advisory board are always helping that. So and some great suggestions for Carly as well, which is awesome. So anybody want to add anything or anything to talk about? Feel free to chime in or raise your hand, etc. Awesome. Okay. Well, then if there isn't anything else, then we'll call it a day, and we thank you for your time. And what I'll do is I'll try to reach out to folks, both the folks that are on this one, as well as folks that are not, to see if we can find some better timing that works for folks. See if we eventually ever want to go back to in person as well, so that we can have our donuts or whatever it is that people like in the morning. I don't know. I never eat that kind of stuff, but that's fine. So thank you once again for coming on out. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, James. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, James.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Great stuff you're doing there.
Thank you. And Eric goes purple.